that.
And my team targeted it.
The challenge is just.
So, and I can't speak very well.
Yeah, we didn't even know there was like 75 college kids in here all last week.
I don't know what was going on.
Hey Trisha, how are you doing? Can you hear us all right? Justin, can you hear us all right?
Yeah, I can hear you, Cameron.
Thank you.
Did you say Kevin?
That's okay.
So he was close.
Kind of phonetically similar.
Kevin, Cameron.
He was in Russia.
I'm gonna send you to
Bill.
heaven.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure we did.
Yeah.
The
Priority-based.
priority, I want to say project-based, but because project is a word that we use in
The peanut butter and banana.
yeah. Well, project-based is what we do a lot in
Are
classes.
you guys writing
That's what
down
I
your
thought. I
ad
saw
hoc
PDP, I was like,
as being paid? Are you applying to be paid for that ad hoc task force?
Yes.
You are.
Mhm. I don't want to go to GPS. I have to go to GPS a lot to do it.
Because Tom Egan said if you write it down, you'll get paid, and I thought, I didn't think ad hoc got paid.
Yeah, ad hoc gets paid.
Oh. Yeah, I'm on ad hoc for the committee.
Yeah, and it takes them 9 hours a month to go through all of our pages.
That's because some of you don't fill them out right.
Well,
Oh, please.
Regardless.
But they still have to go through it.
Oh, they have to
They
go
have
through
to
them
make
before
checks.
Tom Egan gets them.
Yeah, and then Tom Egan has to
Well,
go.
then, does that include the writing of the checks actually?
I don't know.
Probably not.
No, because then Tom looks at them that first, I want to say first Friday of the month, or first Monday of the month, and then they go off, we have checks. I don't think it's past that.
No.
What do you think
Well,
about
we
that?
can't hire, I mean, we can't even get a financial person for the Winnebago County Housing Authority.
Right.
There's no one. We have cooks applying for it, sorry. We don't even have a genuine person that's qualified to just go for the finance. Maybe it's finance background. None of you guys, because you already had jobs. You need to be where you are.
How should they think?
Wire on my screen.
The financial.
You don't have to say that.
Other
areas too, but
It's okay.
What?
Dim the lights.
Setting the mood.
Oh, boy.
Sorry, I don't like it bright.
Sorry, here comes the Murphy.
All right, let's go. She can do whatever she wants, right? Okay.
Sure.
Okay. All right, we will call this Aviation Committee meeting to order, 8 a.m., May 3rd. First item on the agenda is approved minutes of April 5th, 2023 meeting.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Any discussion, changes, additions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Public comment on agenda items or any item under the jurisdiction of this committee. Does anybody in the public have anything to say at this time?
Good morning.
Good morning, John. Ready? Number 3, Airport Director's Report. East GA Hangar Project Update. Jim?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Our hangar project is moving along very well in the past month. Our civil contractor has essentially done the majority of the work to prep the building pads for both of the hangar buildings. We had what's known as a proof roll last Friday. Unfortunately, not the entirety of the pads did not pass the proof roll on the first test, and that's not out of the ordinary. We've got a fair amount of clay and some of that soil that holds a lot of water, and so the contractors removing any of the bad material that was in the area where the proof roll didn't pass, and then of course we got a lot of rain over the weekend, so that didn't help anything either. But that being said, they're pretty confident that they will have the building pads ready by the end of this week. And really then once the building pads are certified and pass the proof roll, the compaction density, they will be handed over to the building contractor. So we don't have a notice to proceed yet for Cardinal Construction for building work. But once the building pads themselves are accepted and are ready to go for the building contractor, they'll be issued their notice to proceed. So we anticipate, excuse me, that occurring either the very end of this week or very early next week. Once that happens, they've got scheduled material deliveries to have the metal for the hangar buildings delivered by the end of May. And so once those are here, they're hoping to have all their footings and foundation work done so that they can move towards actually erecting the structures into the June timeframe. So that's a general recap of where we are on the hangar project. Happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions? Okay. Very good. B, business park development update.
So the biggest thing on the business park for this month, last month in mid-April, Kim and I traveled down to the MRO Americas convention in Atlanta. MRO again stands for Maintenance, Repair, and Overhaul. Cameron and I went the prior year for the very first time as staff to this MRO convention, and it was, I mean, probably the best single convention that we could have to work on developing the business park. And so this year we had targeted, I'll mention that there's over 900 exhibitors at the MRO convention, so it is quite large. It rivals kind of the NBAA convention, the National Business Aviation Association, which we've been to a few times. But it's just a very different set of folks that are there. They're into the maintenance side of things. And it really runs the gamut from the airlines that they're servicing to business and corporate aviation to down to general aviation, some smaller aircraft providers as well. So again, there's over 900 exhibitors. Kim and I had about a day and a half to pound the pavement, as it were, at the convention. We targeted a little over a dozen companies. We met pretty much everybody on our list, and we met with a few that really weren't on our list, or really weren't on our radar. But just in getting around the convention center, some of those conversations that weren't people that are on our list actually proved to be some of the best ones. So we did make a few additional connections from those conversations. Right now, we're in the process of following up with the good prospects that we identified from the convention. We do have now the promo boxes that we developed last year in our arsenal to follow up with those prospects with the first box in the mail, and hopefully continue that conversation. With that, we also identified plus or minus 10 airports that are exhibiting at this event. We went around and we talked to most of them just to kind of check in, see what they're doing, see what their promo materials look like, and also just chat with them and see any successes they've had in the last year or two, especially since we've come out of COVID. We did hear of a couple of successes. We met with some people that we had seen the prior year and kind of touch base with them. But really, in all of our conversations with all the airports that they're exhibiting, we are very much convinced that we need to exhibit at this next year. So it's kind of half a dozen of one and six of the other. But pounding the pavement has its virtues, and we can still do that if we exhibit. We just need to bring some additional staff. But the benefit to next year is it's being hosted in Chicago, so we can drive there and we can haul all of our crap down with us. So there's a lot that goes into just even putting on a 10 by 10 or a 10 by 20 exhibit space, and it's definitely very advantageous that it's only a few hours away next year. So MRO Chicago is in the April timeframe for 2024. In addition to the MRO convention, we've been having several monthly meetings with GoEDC, the City of Oshkosh, Discover Oshkosh, and the Chamber on preparations for our booth at AirVenture this year. So those meetings are ongoing. We've got each year this has kind of grown to include additional folks, and now we're including the Chamber as well into our booth space. And so we've got a 10 by 40, same size as we had last year, but we are really kind of getting everybody all under the same umbrella to not only develop, our portion of it is aimed at developing a business park, but obviously those other entities have their piece in promoting Oshkosh and promoting just business in general and living here as well, the quality of life. So we're very excited for this year's event. Really try to improve our presence each year, and I feel as though we're on track to do that. So more to come on that as we get closer to AirVenture, but those meetings have been ongoing.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
Which airport is the Chicago one at next year?
When we hit an airport, it'll be at, I don't know, offhand with the convention center set up as in Chicago. Never actually been to
Maybe
a trade
McCormick
show there.
is. I don't know if McCormick is.
Yeah, so it'll be, the largest convention center they have. Honestly, I've never been to a trade show in Chicago, so, I've been to Dallas, I've been to, now Atlanta, I've been to Orlando, I've been to Vegas. All these big events, they don't go to small places, so, they have to have quite a lot of floor space.
Could be the Rosemont too.
Bad question.
You can't say that he isn't enthusiastic.
Oh, and also, the exhibit spaces were going fast for next year. Kim and I stopped by the MRO. They have their own entity that puts on this trade show. And they had a big wall of exhibit spaces for 2024. And I don't know, 60 to 70% of them were already being taken. So we have a plan in place of how we want to proceed as far as next year, but there's still a lot to kind of figure out. But we don't want to be stuck in the corner. Nobody puts a baby in the corner. We've known this now from going to enough of these that, if you're far on the end, you're kind of not in the action as much. So we also made some connections on potential partnership for next year in exhibiting. So it's all set up.
And you need to have something cool at your booth.
Yes.
Something
absolutely.
interactive and
Exactly,
fun.
something
Yes.
to draw them in, yep, that's exactly what we're looking for.
Yep.
Little baby bottles of alcohol in the back to give out. Those are always the one I get.
The sip and slides.
Yeah.
Okay, no further comments or questions? Thank you, Kim. Item 4, Deputy Director's Report on NIFA SafeCon update. Kevin?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. We do already have 6 schools here as of last night, and there's probably 30 airplanes out on the ramp. As a reminder, there'll be up to 30 schools and 100 airplanes, 400 to 500 competitors, plus more people that'll be here mostly by the end of the week. Everything's been going as expected. It's very busy. We had our busiest day ever, at least in the last 25 years, on Friday outside of AirVenture. We had over 800 takeoffs and landings at the airport. It was very busy. We as the airport have not heard any complaints as far as noise complaints from the community, and no direct tenant complaints to us, although I'm sure it is a little busy and affecting our local tenants with how busy it is. So everything's going smoothly now. All the groups move over to EAA starting tomorrow. So they're over here at the terminal for now and then moving over to EAA grounds tomorrow. Any questions?
No questions, but comment. People in Oshkosh are noticing, for some reason or other, it's busy at the airport. What's going on? So, I tell them there's this big convention going on with a competition, and they go, "Oh, really? That's exciting. There were planes coming in and landing." And it's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, it's been really exciting having this terminal really busy. I mean, there's been 30 or 40 people in here every day so far this week.
Yeah, all of our meeting room spaces have been locked down by all the schools for the past week. So as soon as we're out of here, they're going to move right back in. But we're balancing it well with, kind of helping out with their needs. And like I said, tomorrow they'll be over on the EA side.
Any questions, comments? Thank you, Cameron. All right, item 5, discuss and approve a resolution to petition the Wisconsin DOT Secretary regarding airport improvement aid. Jim, you want to take that?
You can.
I got it,
Cameron?
yep.
Okay, you got it?
So, yeah, we talked about this last month. We did hold a public hearing last week, and everything went fine. There were some good questions asked, no negative comments. And this was regarding the control tower upgrades. And so this is we normally do a big petition, but we got the grant, and we had to do another petition to add that so the state could, and the federal government could fund it. So the next process is for you guys to take a look. Hopefully you had a chance to look at the transcript, word for word transcript from that meeting, the comments. And the next steps would be for you guys to hopefully approve the resolution that I included in the packet, and then it would go on to the county board, full board later this month on the 16th. If there are any questions on this?
Anybody have any questions?
I'll move to approve the resolution. Petition the Wisconsin DOT Secretary for Airport Improvement Aid.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor of approving the resolution?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Number 6, operation and maintenance report. Jason?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Thanks to Cameron for filling in for me for the last 2 meetings. An emergency trip to Memphis to see a giant panda for my daughter before I went back to China, so we were able to do that. Thanks, Cameron. Some of the things that we're working on and just about ready to finish up, we've been doing hangar inspections the last month, and we should be complete with those today. There's a couple areas that we went out and got some quotes for to spray foam, insulate the new view hangar doors. So we're waiting on another quote for that. Then we'll move forward, and then some crack sealing and seal coating at the DNR on their asphalt. In terms of AirVenture 2023, all paint has been ordered and there's no delays expected for that. So it looks like anything COVID related that had to do with paint has been resolved. So everything's going to be on time for that. Seasonal employees, we have 2 employees that are going to start tomorrow. And then by the beginning of June, we'll have 3 full-time employees helping mow grass. Airfield painting, another paint issue there. We had some paint ordered and it should ship next Friday, and then we should be able to get all of the areas on the airfield that we've identified painted before we have to start painting for AirVenture. With the NIFA SafeCon event that's going on right now, there's some landing boxes that we had to paint out on runway 1836. I guess normally they do those with either chalk or flour, maybe 400 or 800 pounds of flour, I think he said. So we were able to paint those, and they're very grateful that we were able to put the temporary paint down. They said it's going to make a big difference for their judges. And last, the 24-hour fuel light over here for the 24-hour fuel area. That's been a long process, but it's finally complete, at least our end. Facilities was able to come out with their bucket truck and wire that up and get the light out there. I went and took a look at it Saturday night when it was dark, and it looks pretty good out there. So that's all I have.
Anybody have any questions of Jason or comments? Okay. Appreciate the information. 7, EAA report. Sean?
Yes, morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee and staff. It's going extremely well. It's obviously very busy in our final run to the event. Some really strong aspects have come together in the last month that are just going to add to the overall flavor of the event and attractiveness of what's here. We're going to have one new restoration of a very large airplane, a Lockheed Constellation, that is now looking very, very good. And we've had a Con here since, I think, 2003. As well as the NASA Super Guppy just coming, which is also another large, iconic, very unique airplane. So our themes are coming together really strong. For example, one of the themes we have around the week of ocean, we now have 11 Corsairs committed to as the largest number of Corsairs gathered at AirVenture probably since the 90s. So that's going to be a really nice feature of the event. All the other features are looking very strong as well. I will tell you this, on Monday, we were at a planning meeting over in the headquarters building, with the snow coming down. Somebody made a comment, well, it's nice to know we have so much time before AirVenture since it's end of February. But no, the event's looking very, very good. And so we've got our emergency response plan drill scheduled for next month. We'll do some simulated disaster training. We'll go from there. Any questions about EAA or the event?
When's the last time we had the Super Guppy?
2000. Yeah, it's
I've
been
never
wild.
seen it, so I'm excited to see
So
it.
it's the large airplane that carried the Saturn V rocket components. And they still use it today for transporting large spacecraft type things. So, Mars, something like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Anybody have any questions? Chairman's report, I don't have anything.
So maybe.
Chairman?
May I?
Yes.
Well, I just wanted to say, we hosted something that wasn't, maybe Fred's got the numbers. We hosted the EAA chapter pancake breakfast here a couple of weekends ago. And from what I could see, it may be a record for how many pancakes were served. And I know there was quite a few Young Eagle flights that went on that Saturday. So weren't able to stop by. Maybe somebody did. We were here to eat and see how the event was going, and honestly, I thought this place was packed for the hour and a half I was here, so.
Of course, we don't have quite as much room as we used to have.
Yeah.
It was not a record, but we were very pleased with it. We had 54 Young Eagles were flown. It also was fortunate, and it happened to coincide with a chapter leadership event that was going on at EA, and so we had chapter leaders from around the country that came here and sort of saw what a pancake breakfast can work at. And of course, they saw the terminal and Oshkosh a little differently than otherwise see. But it worked out well. We, as I said, I think it helps with community involvement. In fact, we had 54 local children here, and of course, all accompanied with parents, and seeing positive activity at the airport has to be a good thing as well.
Thank you, Fred. All right, number 9, committee member statements, suggestions, items for future agenda.
Actually, I have a question for Jim, maybe if you can't remember. Priority-based budgeting, how's that going to affect pricing for the leases that we already have? Because I know that's part of the whole priority-based budgeting, should be assessing prices on everything. Have you looked into that, how it may affect anything, or?
So as far as the new priority-based budgeting initiative, we're just really starting to get into that. Existing leases that have set terms and set rates aren't going to be affected by that. We just went through an update to our ordinance rates for our T-hangar spaces that are published in ordinance. We did a increase to that last year. That hadn't been done since 2016, so it was definitely due. So those have been adjusted recently. I don't know that, as far as what we have, existing leases are going to be affected much by it.
Well, even going forward, because I know that was one of the things that was involved in it, was looking at the money coming in, looking at things like leases and whatnot, and where the number should be. And I don't even know that any of us actually know where those are gonna turn up as far as that goes, and how that could affect what's going on here, so.
Somebody has a 30-year, 40-year land lease, I don't think.
It's not gonna affect the ones we have, but it'll affect everything that has to get renewed and everything, that's, and you have all these new hangars coming up.
It may, but I don't.
So.
Yeah, it may, but I don't think the priority-based budgeting approach is gonna be able to is gonna start going out and looking at airport real estate and trying to tell us what rates should be for.
Well, that was part of my issue
hangar
with
rents and land lease rates. We take a look at that all the time.
Right, and that was part of my issue with the PBB that we were looking at last night, was it says it would recommend pricing, and I was just like, are we gonna have issues with what goes on here? Because I know it's a different system than at other places in the county.
Yeah, it's a very interesting new approach. I think the board got a pretty good presentation from it last night. I was not able to watch all of that, but we had our department head meeting earlier yesterday, and I got the full. Obviously, we've been through a couple of training sessions on priority-based budgeting approach for this year. I'll reserve my comments for now on that approach, but going into it.
Well, please keep us abreast of anything if it does start to conflict a bit with how we've been going about things here. Just so we have an idea, so we know what's going on when we go back, we can talk to other members on the board or the county board as well, so.
Absolutely, yeah, we're just getting into the inventory stage right now, and we have a deadline of Friday to get all that in, so we'll be working on that today and tomorrow.
Open-mindedness is good, but also speak up for the airport. You know what I'm saying? What you just said is true. We just changed all the rates and all the, so. Be that it is, everybody's saying, oh, we got two budgets, whatever.
It looks like one budget, it's
We'll
just
have
how
one
it's formulated.
Right,
One budget with two ideas about how to get to the final point.
yeah.
I think it's another way to look at things though, and I think we should look at it in a positive way, not just negative.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's, and there's market values on the hangars. There's only so much you can get. No one's gonna rent them, right? Lisa?
Correct.
I mean, so. Anyway. And to stay positive too.
Well, that was part of the reason I brought it up, was because we just went through all of this, and I didn't know if maybe there could be a conflict with this new way of doing it, if it wouldn't take into account as much as you guys did.
And the ordinance.
Yeah, and the ordinance, so.
So as we go through it, I'll be as up to speed as I can with any issues that may affect airport operations.
On that same thought, I would be more concerned about the time involved. So if there's 10 times more time involved to maybe change something that would be not beneficial, sure. But we can kind of keep track of that. Thank you.
Agreed.
Do you start working on your budget now? Instead of August, you go way back to January, you start.
And I think that once you start it, next year will be a hell of a lot easier. Can I say that word? A heck of a lot easier. You know, this is like the hardest part, is just getting the initial stuff done. So, I don't know, I'm hopeful.
There's a lot to learn still. We've gotten kind of the overview of the framework and how it works and what we need to do to start the process. So open-mindedness, that's where I'm at.
Sounds good. All right, set next meeting date, I don't have. 7th? Is everybody good with June 7th?
Is that a summer month? Is it supposed to be summer coming up?
Not yet.
They say.
Let's hope.
June 21st is summer.
Good Lord.
Right around there. So don't count on it. If it's nice, then 75 degrees, then we'll just.
Yeah. Okay, so June 7th, sounds good. Motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second?
Motion to made, seconded, adjourn, all in favor? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Seriously, is it ever gonna get warm?
Today is gonna be 58.
I hope.
Starting today and tomorrow, we're gonna start creeping back, and then it's gonna be 70s.
I hope so. I thought it was gonna be like that
That's what
a few weeks ago.